Holder was absolutely amazing yesterday in Congress. The arrogance and the... Well, let me just play it and ask yourself if you were called to testify in front of Congress, if you could get away with an attitude like this.
I hope
I could
not.
just say one thing.
Yes, sir.
In response to Mr. Labrador.
Of course.
That was among the worst things I think I've ever seen in Congress. You took a whole...
Labrador had just shown a series of clips of him testifying before Congress where he basically said, I don't know, to virtually everything.
whole series of statements out of context, with no context.
With all due respect, the worst thing I've ever seen.
The gentleman's time has expired.
And, you know, I was, the Mark Rich thing was considered in my confirmation. Talked about it then. There's a whole bunch of things that I could say about what you just did. And maybe this is the way you do things from, you know, in Idaho or wherever you're from. But understand something. Wow. What I've done, I'm proud of the work that I've done as Attorney General of the United States. And looked at fairly, I think that I've done, you know, a pretty good job. Have I been perfect? No. Have I made mistakes? Yes. Do I treat the members of this committee with respect? I always hope that I do.
No. Did you listen
and what
to your
you
other
have just done is, if nothing else, disrespectful. And if you don't like me, that's one thing. But you should respect the fact that I hold an office that is deserving of respect.
I hate these people. I hate these people. You should respect that I hold office. You know what? You should respect that I'm an American citizen and you work for me, you lousy piece of crap congressman. Now, that's what an American citizen would say. But you can't say that in front of Congress, even though those lousy pieces of crap congressmen work for you. But this guy only wants respect because he holds office. You lousy piece of crap DOJ chairperson. You lousy piece of crap. All of you. Listen to this. You wouldn't get away with saying any of this to a congressman. And if you were the congressman, if you were trying to say this to the head of the DOJ, you'd never get away with saying that either. These two are having an elite off. And they're both using their power. Now, I personally believe that the congressman was right. Eric Holder is corrupt. This Department of Justice is out of control. There's no way he didn't know about Fast and Furious. There's no way he didn't know about Fast and Furious. You name the scandals. I said this 3 months into the Obama administration. This will be remembered if there's any sanity at the end of this administration. This will go down as the most corrupt administration in the history of the United States, and that's saying something. And the reason why is because they control the DOJ. They control all of it. Have you ever seen anything like this? Have you ever seen a independent committee going after the head of the DOJ, and it's not even really a story? They're running guns across the border. Do you remember what it was like for the Contras? That was the biggest story ever. What's the difference here? Oh, I know the difference. That's right. They weren't trying to help freedom fighters. They were setting up American citizens. I don't know if you saw the show last night, but last night we showed a picture of just one of the pictures of what's going on down at the border that nobody else will show you. And we're not blurring anything out. We have a guy who is coming in on Tuesday that's going to share some photos and some pictures and some things and some stories that you've never heard before. His story, his tale will turn your hair white. Nobody will tell the story of what's going on the border. Why? Well, one reason, our Department of Justice is corrupt. Our Department of Justice was corrupt under George Bush when it came to the border. Absolutely corrupt. We're sitting here in Texas. I don't know how these border guards do it. When you hear one of the stories we're going to tell you about what's happening in Arizona, you won't believe it. If we didn't have evidence, you wouldn't believe it. You know the story I'm telling you about?
I'm not sure which one.
The woods? Have I told you the story of the woods yet?
Mm-mm.
Oh, wait until you hear it. Wait until you hear it. You will get, you will see with a credible source how out of control, and this guy sitting in front of Congress, and first of all, I mean, really? He's saying to it, now try this on for size. Here's the guy who calls Americans cowards on race. Oh, you're nothing but a bunch of cowards. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Now he's speaking to this this Puerto Rican from Idaho, and he says, I don't know how you do things wherever Idaho or wherever you're from. Can you imagine anybody else saying that? Can you imagine a conservative saying that to a Hispanic? Can you imagine what anybody would say? Oh, racist, racist, racist. Here's a guy who says that we're cowards. He's never had to face a racism charge. He's never had to stand there while everybody who is against him points to him and says you're a racist for a nonsense reason. That was disrespectful. But it would have been just as disrespectful for a white guy, a black guy, an Asian guy. I don't think he was talking about his race. He didn't care enough to even look at the name on what it said, what state it said on the nameplate. He was so dismissive of a congressman that he didn't even take the time to look at the man's nameplate.
And he is from Idaho, so I'm sure he knew. And just saying Idaho or wherever you're from is just more disrespect because he knows full well where he's from. So he's just showing more disgust and disrespect for the man by dismissing him in that way.
Isolate, and polarize, and ridicule.
Mm-hmm.
It's what all of them do because they're all Saul Alinsky students. They're all from the same tree. You have to ask yourself, what kind of damage is this guy doing to our FBI, to our justice system? What kind of damage is a guy who is corrupt, who's running guns on the border, who doesn't pay any attention at all to the Black Panthers, who doesn't believe that there's such a thing called Islamic extremism? You're not even allowed to say, you can talk about religious extremism, you can talk about violent extremism, but you can no longer say Islamic extremism because that's an insult to Islam. What kind of damage is going to be done to our justice system by the time this guy leaves? What are we going to have left? And it's not just our FBI. I mean, what these people are doing to our country is treasonous. And we're allowing him to treat Congress this way. How long before they say, oh, it's McCarthy hearings? How long before they say that? I got news for you, man. Whether it is on this earth or in the afterlife, these people will stand trial, and you ain't going to be able to bully the judge in the afterlife. And they are absolutely going to be held responsible. You know, I take Ezekiel very seriously. This is what changed the course of my life about 7 years ago. I'm reading Ezekiel. And there's a little part there in Ezekiel where it says, and I want you to know, this applies to you too, that in those days he'll appoint watchmen on the tower. And when they see trouble coming, if they don't blow the trumpet, if they don't warn the people, then all the blood of all of the people that could have heard their warning will be on their hands. If they warn and people decide to not listen to them, then it's up to them. Then their blood of their own lives, that's on their hands. But for anybody who sees the trouble coming and doesn't blow the horn, everyone who could have heard your voice, the blood of Those who lose their lives or lose their freedom will be on your hands. I take that seriously. The number of people that could have heard my voice is compounded from the average citizen in the millions. I ain't standing trial for that. This is why I do what I do, because I take that one promise to me seriously. Let me promise something to people like Eric Holder. You will be held responsible for all those who lose their freedom. When man comes to trial in the courts, you will be held responsible for what you do and what you do not do right now. I hope I'm in line behind you, my friend. Because I think it's going to be pretty darn easy to look good after the people in this administration. I'm not your judge, but I hope to testify against you.